I do a lot of UFO interviews out here in Colorado, but from time to time I do get a few Bigfoot investigations that I have to check out. One of the most memorable ones was probably, I would have to confess to say, was my most recent earlier this year, and that was up in Bailey, Colorado. Joe Fix is a really good friend of mine. I met him a few years ago in Denver. He's a Bigfoot investigator out here in this part of Colorado. A very interesting, intriguing person, wealth of information on Bigfoot.
At 10 years old, I rapidly realized that, the world isn't really what everybody says it is, and that things like this are possible and do exist. A lot of people think that this stuff only happens in Canada and the Pacific Northwest, but the fact is that we have traceable histories all over the planet and all over this country, coast to coast. What we're doing here today is, this is known as a preliminary expedition. It's a field survey, really. We have a witness that is claiming that something's coming around her house. She doesn't really know much about Bigfoot at all. She became incredibly distressed when she started finding 17-inch tracks with toes and things like this, damage to her house as I described earlier. Her dog acting strange and his behavior patterns changing. And eventually, she talked to this person and that person. Eventually she talked to a friend of hers that happens to be the state director in Colorado and MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, Leslie Varnicle. Leslie told her, I know this guy, you should call him, you should talk to him, and tell him what you're telling me, and he'll tell you what you can do about it, and he'll give you some information that will make you feel a little more at ease about it. Because the woman was pretty stressed out and pretty panicked and was, like I told you earlier, at the point where she's just literally sitting at home, sitting in the living room with a loaded gun in her hands waiting for something to happen. These doors that go to this woman's living room, and through here where the young ones ran on Tuesday. She had two young ones about 5 feet tall, jet black. She said that they were human-shaped, head, torso, arms, legs, but she said the way they just zipped through the woods and then shot up the hill, she said there's just no way it could be a person. One thing we want to also keep an eye on while it's still daylight is the tops of these trees. They often break the tops of these trees and point them in different directions. And the breaks aren't just breaks, they're twists. You know what I mean? So they kind of wrench and twist it, and then that branch kind of holds that direction. And again, we don't know what that means, but we think it is like a directional road sign that they use between each other.
Like a trail marker?
We also want to look for, you see this tree here?
The one that's bent
with the
over?
bent? Yep. That are bent and fixed like that into an arch.
Okay.
And again, no one knows what this means, but the Bigfoot community is just now getting around to recognizing these things and recognizing that there's intelligence there, and there's certainly a communication system that they use with each other that is really significant.
One of the interesting things about Bigfoot investigations is really they're ongoing. You really don't know when Bigfoot's in town. They constantly move. They're constantly doing the proverbial walkabout. They're never in one location. So, when you have the opportunity to pounce on a sighting, you want to jump on it as fast as possible. When we first got here, Joe.
Yes.
I noticed that track right there.
That one right there?
Yeah.
It's too indistinct to really say, but you want to look 5 feet in front. And keep an eye on and examining your own tracks, and like right there's a good spacing. We have a spacing of maybe 1.5 feet or so at best on the average adult human. The average adult Sasquatch, however, is 5 to 7 feet. So snow is wonderful for that perspective, because it's impossible to traverse snow and make these fake giant footprints 5 and 7 feet apart without leaving any other marks on the snow. That's next to impossible. I think a lot of people focus on evidence too much, and it repels these things. I've seen that for myself in the field. Somewhere between 12 and 14 years ago, I gave up hauling plaster casts and recorders and cameras with me all the time. Sometimes an experience should just be between you and whatever that phenomenon is. You know, the world doesn't have to know every detail about everything, and personally, I don't give a damn what anybody believes. You know, I first and foremost, this is for my own experience, my own understanding, and then secondly, if there's something that can be shared with the public or other researchers, if they're prepared to receive it, that's fine too. I'm 100% dedicated to education and this kind of stuff, but I'm not really in a position to where I feel the need to argue.
Yeah, you can see the urine there.
And I'll probably collect that just in case in the morning. I don't think that it's Bigfoot urine,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But I'll collect it just in case. It's most likely deer. When we collected the urine in Tennessee in 2004, you could see where the stream just pounded the material that they were urinating on. And so I would imagine it would be the same in the snow.
I don't think there actually is an increase in Bigfoot sightings. The Bigfoot are out there all the time. What's happening is people are migrating into the areas where Bigfoot is traveling. And they're becoming more aware now of who to talk to and when to talk to these people to be able to report a sighting. Bigfoot had been here before we migrated to this land, and probably before the Native Americans migrated to this land. Like any other animal, we're just kind of invading their space. Now, the witness said that somebody or something is coming over trying to disconnect
Yep.
the
Oh, what a sweet
this
dog.
cable right here.
What a sweet dog, yeah. When she originally contacted me, what she said is that something she had noticed that something had been coming out here and unscrewing this little eye hook here. You see, if you unscrew it, it opens it right up.
Right.
And something had been attempting, like that, to undo it, but hadn't quite figured it out to undo it all the way,
Well, obviously it's a dog doing it.
you know? And so yeah, that's kind of one of the early things that caught her attention and started making her really nervous. It wasn't until she started seeing tracks and things like that that she started getting very nervous.
Right here.
You might just want to wait until
Oh, right
we
here.
talk with her.
Right there.
That's it.
Matt was right in front of it.
That is it. And it's hard to spot a lot of this stuff. And the way she described it are absolutely accurate. Because
Okay,
she said,
so what's the 4 inches?
she said they look just like, you know, human finger marks, and you can feel this stuff is pretty hard. Look, that's a pretty hard dig, and it's not really.
And the dogs would be farther apart.
And that's
It's about halfway as deep as those.
Okay, so you're looking at about 3.5 inches wide. What's the length on that?
Yep, I'm gonna want to get some photos of this. We had talked that night on the phone, and she said I put the hamburger out, but they didn't seem really interested in it. And then the next day, it was gone. And so we had a big long discussion about, you know, well, that kind of sucks, but there'll be other opportunities and things like this. The following morning, this was here. And that, again, that doesn't look like bear at all from what I've seen in the past. This one here is from there to there. So yeah, you want to keep an eye out for subtle things like that. That's definitely not her dog. I think we can pretty much rule that out. Simultaneously with the tampering with the tether here, the dog started getting more and more comfortable about staying out here at night. And he would be reluctant to come outside when she went to put him out when she's getting ready for work. And he would whimper a lot, which he didn't normally do. And so those were the first primary things that were telling her, you know, something's going on out here. I don't know why the dog's behavior's changed so dramatically. And that's kind of what caught her attention to it.
You know, we're running out of light, so we better get this rope up.
Yep.
And it looks like they're coming down this way, so would you suggest coming up
Yeah.
this hill a little bit, maybe catching it there?
Yeah.
The lady there who owns the house, she gave us free reins of the cabin, so we spent the night there. We set our cameras up, our night vision cameras, and in specific locations to see if we could capture any movement throughout the night. When Joe and I were inside the kitchen area of the cabin, we heard this screaming coming from outside. We immediately looked at each other and kind of had that panic look. and we just kind of bolted to the front door of the cabin. As we come flying out of the front cabin door, you could hear screaming echoing in the background. And the first thing that I was worried about was I knew Matt and Trina were out there, my other two investigators. I didn't know where they were, and I was a little worried about it at first because I didn't know how far or how close they were. You know, were they close to where the scream was coming from, or are they out in the middle somewhere setting up a camera? So the first thing I was looking for was Matt and Trina, and I could see them off just to my right, and I noticed that they had a camera and they were filming this. Off to my left, Joe was looking at me, and we were deciding, okay, what do we do now? Do we try to go towards it? Or do we stop for a second, gather our thoughts, and kind of decide what we're going to do? At that point, we decided the best thing to do is to record the scream and try and get the most information we could on the location of the scream. Okay, guys, stay together, okay?
I'm not with them.
It's pretty rare to actually be involved with a Bigfoot investigation and pick up a scream. Generally, you don't get a chance to hear that. Generally, the evidence you get is old footprints, a lot of eyewitness reports, but when you're actually getting something that you have on tape, it's pretty powerful. What was really interesting about this particular sound we were hearing is, even though we got really good audio of it, you just can't capture what you were feeling. You know, I could feel the sound. I knew it was coming from a large animal, but it kind of reverberated as it came through me. It was like the sound waves were hitting me and just kind of pounding on me. It wasn't close, but it was strong, and it was from a very large animal. I wish the audio could actually, depict what you could actually feel being out there in the open, the echoing.
These things have proven to me over the years they want contact. They want and demand. That's why they intrude on us. I've seen so many people that don't believe in any of this stuff, like this lady here. She didn't even know anything about Bigfoot. And boom, it's there and there's nothing she can do. Let's go with it. That's why I tell her the healthiest thing, go with it, man. But don't look at it as, man, there's this creepy, horrible thing out there in the woods in my yard. What's going on? You know what I mean? Look at it as, wow, isn't this amazing? Isn't this fascinating? Isn't this neat?
This particular investigation out of Bailey is an ongoing investigation. And the reason why it's an ongoing investigation is because after talking with Joe, we've been able to pretty much map out certain areas where we've had Bigfoot sightings across Colorado. And there really is kind of a trail or kind of a path that they normally take. And we do know that they are seasonal. Now, they may be seasonal every other year or every year because we really don't know how big of an area they're actually traveling.
There are those people that just refuse it no matter what. I don't believe any of this stuff should be forced onto anybody. Everybody should go at their own pace. I've seen things in my day that unnerved me and took me to the very, fringe of my nerves, you know what I mean? And it's not good. Some people don't need this proven to them. And that's what a lot of people try to do in these kind of fields. They want to prove this to the world. And they want to make all these people that deny it, they want to make them acknowledge it. That's not really healthy. Some people just are not psychologically and emotionally prepared